Well, since I'm not catching any damn fish, I guess I'll tell a story. This is murder in Vilcabamba. Now, when I lived in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, this was in 1990, and it was just before I came home, and I came home in July, late July, around my birthday. So the murder had to have happened maybe May or June, but there was an American school teacher. He taught music in Loja at I believe it was the high school, and he was married to an Ecuadorian woman, and they had a son. I think, if my story is correct, the son was from the guy's first wife. I can't remember their names, it's been so long ago. But they lived just outside of town in Vilcabamba, up this little canyon, just not very far. Nice house. And he had a wall safe, apparently, behind a picture. And he went out to... Somebody had let his horses go and his other livestock, so he went out to round them up. And somebody came in and murdered his wife. I think they murdered him first. They strangled him and threw him over a ravine with this rope around his neck, and then they murdered her and strung her up in the bathroom and hacked her to death too. I guess she was pretty bloody. So here came the equivalent of the Ecuadorian FBI, and they were talking to a lot of people in town. They wanted to talk to me since I was a gringo and had been living there for a long time. Well, I did not know these people at all. Marco had pointed them out to me and told me, you know, this is a gringo teacher and blah, blah, blah. And he's got a piano. And I always thought, oh, it'd be fun to go play the piano. I'd like to meet this guy, but I never did. So, anyway, the equivalent of the FBI came to talk to me, and Jaime and Durga insisted they be there because my Spanish, even though I spoke Spanish pretty well, they wanted to make sure I didn't say anything really bad or anything really stupid. So they said, speak in English and we'll translate. And I thought, okay, that'll work. And of course I knew enough Spanish that I knew they weren't setting me up. So anyway, they couldn't bury them because they had to get a hold of this guy's son, and his son lived in Mexico City. So they finally get a hold of him, and they've got them in the morgue in Loja, allegedly refrigerated. They were in simple pine boxes. So anyway, the son comes, and he's a mess, a hot mess, kind of a hoodlum. And of course he takes up with all the hoods in Vilcabamba. There's not that many, but there were 2 or 3 bad boys, and he got in with that crowd. And Marco and I would see them when we were walking into town. They'd be driving around. So it was the day of the funeral, and Durga didn't want to go by herself. And I think Jaime was out of town. I think he was in, I know he was in New York City because his daughter was graduating from Columbia. So we walked to town, and she said, let's go up to the graveyard. And it was this little road that's near town. So we walk up there, and here's the guy's son and a bunch of the hoods, and they're digging a grave for his dad and his stepmom. and it's really rocky soil. So they were using picks and shovels, and they were all sweaty, and I thought it was really weird. I think they were drinking too, but to be digging your own parents' grave, Well, I guess people used to do that a lot, but this just struck me as odd. So anyway, Durga kind of chatted with him for a second, and then we went into town, and then later we went to the service, and there were a bunch of people there, and they were passing out scented handkerchiefs and mints because the coffins were leaking fluids. It was gross. And I didn't go up for the graveside thing. I was just sitting there in the back of the room and with that scented handkerchief and sucking on a mint and looking at those coffins leaking. I didn't last very long. I bailed. So anyway, he got his parents buried, and then it was a night or two later, and Jaime was gone, and he wanted me to kind of look after Durga, and she was going to sleep in one of the units, and I was going to sleep in the house, and he had given me the pistol, and this was the pistol that his son, when he was 14 or 15, killed himself with in the little house, the little hidey house where I lived. He was living there. So anyway, it was evening time, and I noticed the horses were out. So I grab a rope from the shed, and I go out and I get the horses, and I put them back in. Somebody had left the gate open, and I just thought, what the fuck, this is weird. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking about what happened to that guy that got murdered. And I'm going, oh shit, is this like a repeat? So, and it's starting to get dark. So I go back to the, watching my bait float down the river. I got one of those little marshmallow things. So anyway, maybe that means I'm getting a nibble. Looks like it, maybe. It'll be my first bite. So anyway, this hoodlum and with his hoodling friends drive up in this car, and they walk up. I'm sitting there in the window. They said, "Where's Don Jaime?" And I said, "He's not here." Of course, this was all in Spanish. And I said, he'll be back. And where's Durga? Well, she's sleeping. I'll wake her up. No. What do you want? We want to talk to Don Jaime. And I said, you'll have to wait. So they go down into the parking lot, and they sit there in their car. And behind me on the bed is this gun. I'm going, oh shit. So they hung out and hung out and hung out. And then they left. And I'm freaking out. So then I go and find Durga, and I tell her, what was going on. She's all freaked out. So I sat there all night on that bed, not getting any sleep, holding on to that pistol, afraid I'm going to have to shoot this hoodlum. And it was shortly after that I left Vilcabamba and came back to the United States. But that was a weird way to go. It's not how I wanted the whole trip to end, but it kind of did. Anyway, that's murder in Vilcabamba. And I don't know whatever happened to that guy. Oh, and then they did arrest somebody, and I guess this guy used to work for the school teacher and do work around his house and stuff, so I guess that's how he knew about the wall safe. And they caught him and they took him to jail in Loja, and they beat him so severely that he was peeing blood. It's, you just don't want to get in trouble in one of those countries, I'll tell you.